What is going on, everybody? And in this video, we are giving you a state of the markets and stock picks for March 30th, 2022. So let's get right into the state of the market. So the state of the market, everything is hunky-dory apparently, and the market continues to rip. There was actually some what seemed like progression in peace talks earlier today, and that essentially caused a stir and caused the market to start pushing up even more than it already has. Uh, and even if that is the case, if they do come to some conclusion uh, overnight, because they said that they were close, Russia was going to go more neutral, and we'll see what happens with that. Everything we hear about peace talks, it's always breaking down. There's always more invasions. So it's interesting to see what actually plays out here. You can't get a direct understanding of what's going on over there. So we will see. But the market will take hopes and dreams and build off of that. Again, the fact that we haven't hardly pulled back, I think we are going to get a lot bigger of a pullback at some point. But if we continue to get positive news, I think we're going to go almost parabolic to where we were at the beginning of the year. Again, which may not be great because of the fact that when that pullback comes, it's going to be a little bit more than what we probably want. But being said, we are coming in earnings too. You're starting to get that transition. The end of the month is coming. So we're starting to get ready for bank earnings and stuff coming up. We had MU earnings today, which they crushed it. It's also one of my picks for tomorrow. But as far as the rest of the state of the market, there's nothing new. There's a lot more sanctions going on, more European nations and stuff are placing sanctions or talking about sanctions. And that's pretty much it. We're going to find out what is going to happen in this upcoming earnings with the sanctions and with the lockdowns, and see how much of an impact it's actually having on inventories and revenues. So that being said, the state of the market is pretty simple right now. We all know what's going on with the war. Unless something changes very dramatically, aside from what is normal, again, we have to make that differentiation. If something changes dramatically, then we'll see what happens from that point. But as far as tomorrow, we can look at SPX. On the daily, we are looking solid. We're above all the EMAs. We broke the trend. We are headed quite a bit ways up. This was a concerning spot. We needed to break this, and we actually gapped up overnight on top of this. So I can see us making a clear, get a little bit of resistance here at the 46.73, but I can see a clear shot probably up to 46.31 is what I'm thinking. If we get any kind of peace talks and actual progression, we will be back at all-time highs. And then at that point, we'll do some sort of a pullback, right? This is very parabolic. In the past couple of days, we've gone purely straight up. Just on the index, let's say 11%. We've almost corrected since the beginning of the year to where we're at. Because we've had a full... Yeah, we're almost corrected all the way back to beginning of the year. So, and one thing I noticed, even talking about last year, every time we would make, because we went through a spell here towards the end of the year where every time we made all-time high, we would die off, all-time high, barely. I think the all-time high would last like a day, die off. Then we'd all-time high, die off, all-time high, die off. And then this was all because, of okay, well, we know the Fed is going to start doing rate raises, so we just start selling off. And then we attempted to come back, and then rate raises again, more Fed talk, and then we actually got a rate raise, and now we're back up. And so now we also had the war as well in there, mixed in there. That's why some of this extra selling came in there, or we probably would have bounced more here. That's about roughly when Russia started invading. So it kind of sunk us back down, but we held, and so that's good. Again, the market is different from the economy and what's going on in the world. If the world gets to be too bad, then you're not going to be looking at the stock market anyway. So nonetheless, so I think we still head back again, like I said, to that 47.18. Strong possibility going into this week. I talked about a rally going into the Fed. And this rally is obviously way overblown what I expected. I thought we would at least chop some. We chopped for maybe a day there, and then we've just been very explosive. And the explosiveness, we're talking about the index here, but the explosiveness has been coming in rotations of tech and the value in the banks. So when one is weak, another one is picking up. Which is something that Cathie Woods actually talked about. When you want like good overall strength, you want to see a very strong rotation in all those sectors. This will allow the market to become extremely bullish and very, very strong, and something she's talked about and what she's been placing her bets on. And so that is a good sign overall. If we do get peace talks, I think we are going to make some ridiculous all-time highs this year and continue to until something has changed. And a lot of things that may be happening with real estate, they may be happening with inflation, but you have to understand that a lot of these things don't really affect the stock market until way further down the line than what it is affecting it right now. And even Powell suggested that by the end of the year, inflation numbers will come way down. If that's the case, right, that's just going to continue to fuel the market, right? The market is designed to go up, right? If we don't go up, people's 401ks are going to get destroyed. The system is not great. I highly understand that, but this is the system that we live in. And so it is designed to have to go up. And that's why you have the Fed. That's why the market continues to push up, or else you have any kind of conflict in the world and this thing would be crippled because people would be running and pull their money out the banks without any backstop. So being said, Bitcoin still looking very strong. Big bull flag here on the daily, and we broke above that resistance I talked about, which was essentially around the 45 mark, 45K mark. So I think we're going back. We're going to get another retest of the 51, get rejected the first time. We may chop around here, then blow here, and then go reattempt some of these other levels around the 58 mark, 58K8 mark, and then back up to the 70, and then possibly, like I said, I think this year we could have a strong possibility to get to 100K because of the current market sentiment. I think is going to push crypto pretty far up there. So, and then also help it become more stable. So now going into tomorrow, big thing I'm watching this week, I know Tesla's already had a massive run and people said, well, it's already gone up so much, but they do have delivery numbers coming out at some point this week. We don't know when, but it's at some point. And when that happens, that could cause another explosive move, possibly back up to the 1200 mark. It's kind of what I'm looking at. Looks like we had a break here of a resistance and a retest on the daily. Now I can see a very strong push up to at least the 1150 or 1141 mark. And then you're going to have a little bit of resistance there. We might chop and then try to break, trying to get back to that number. But again, very explosive move. Tesla's been one of the leaders. I think it still has a little bit more gas in it. You definitely have to be careful at these higher levels with Tesla. But the strength is definitely there and showing. UPST has been a lagger. Watching this here, watching this downward wedge, I want to see if we actually break this tomorrow or if we start selling off. So you want to hold above that 119 mark. If we open up above that 119 mark tomorrow, that could be a nice wedge break and possibly revisit the one and then possibly even break past that. Shop, another big one, it's trying to break. This thing is going to run massively once it does break. It's been attempting to several different times, but stuck in this range here. It gets essentially capped out at the 745 mark, and it's been dropping back down to this 673 mark. We did have a bit of a wedge break here, though, which caused this pump. Now, is this going to be enough to keep us going? Definitely one thing to watch. I think if we can break above the 800, I think shop is pretty much gone at that point, and you'll probably see it at 1,000 from that point, in my opinion. So that would be interesting one to watch. MU is a big one to watch. It's been really dying off because of everything. It actually had a nice break and retest today before earnings. Now it has earnings after hours. It's done phenomenal. And so now it's really holding right here. Question is tomorrow. It needs to hold above this 85 mark tomorrow. If it can hold above there, again, the big thing to watch is pre-market levels, pre-market levels. So you got the 80s, 87.42. Maybe it starts to gap up a little bit if the market jumps overnight. But if you get a candle at all above this one, essentially around that 87.58 mark, and opens above that on the hourly, that's a massive gap, I think, up to possibly 90 at that point. So I mean, you definitely want to watch. Be careful if it starts to give a lower level in pre-market at that point, which is better just to let it go and let it sell all the way back down. So that's something to keep in mind. Roadblocks is another big one. It's trying to break out as well. You got this level, this 52 mark. If you could break the 52, I think it's going to start cruising again. So it's something you definitely want to watch there. Coin with Bitcoin getting ready to break out. If you get any kind of pullback back to the 196 mark, I think would be a really good entry, and realize it's going to make a massive rip, I think up to about 230, 240, especially if Bitcoin really starts getting carried away. So something I do want to watch as well. But this video is short and sweet. Right now we're at high levels. I don't want to give too many tickers out because we really have to see how overnight sessions are doing. We could pull back, so just be mindful of that. I've been talking about a pullback for a while. So it's just really seeing how that does come out. HD has been a nice one. I was looking at this yesterday. Had a nice pop, but if it does revisit the essentially that 309 mark again tomorrow, be looking to get into this again. It could be playing range here. I made a video about supply and demand, so you might get another retest down here. You might only get a wick down to the 311, and then it begins to start pushing up. So another one to keep an eye on. But if you've made it this far, drop a like button. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.